This is a HeadGum podcast.
Celebrity Book Club.
I thought a fun, super just fun way to loosen us up was just for us all, this could be a cold open, or maybe it will be so bad and we'll get put in the trash, but for us to just all sing Scar Tissue and just see what happens.
That's a fun idea. Just like, so.
Y'all expect me to harmonize on this too?
I mean, I have a horrible singer, so I think let's just see.
God's just that
I wish you saw. So now Mr. Know-It-All.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you,
cause
with the birds you share, I'll kiss you,
lonely you, and
I'll kiss you, lonely you.
Soda against the wall.
Okay,
That's in a push-up bra.
No,
push-up bra.
Push-up bra. That makes sense because there's a lot of tits in this book.
There are so many tits
so
in this
many
book.
fucking tits.
Who's that knocking at the door? It's all your friends, you filthy whore. Your husband's gone and we've got books and a bottle of wine to kill. It's Hollywood. It's books. It's gossip. I'm shook. It's memoirs. It's martinis. It's Studio 54. It's Celebrity Book Club. Come read it while it's hot. Celebrity Book Club. Tell your secrets, we won't talk. Celebrity Book Club. No boys are allowed. Celebrity Book Club. Say it loud and proud. Celebrity Book Club.
Buzz me in, I brought the Cuervo.
Hey, best friend.
What's up, you badass bitch?
What's up, dude? How you doing right now?
I don't know, man. I'm coming off a 6-week high of just doing a ton of heroin and coke and speed with some pretty awesome girlfriends in some pretty cool motels. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little crazy.
Yeah, I actually just tried heroin for the first time, and I had heroin sex for the first time. And man, I will tell you, I had sex for 12 hours and didn't even come till the 11th hour.
No, that's so fucking cool when you just don't come for 10 hours. That's one of my favorite parts about mixing drugs and sex. Of course, we are being crazy drug addicts and making fun of addiction, which is a serious issue, because we read a phenomenal memoir this week.
By a phenomenal rock and roll poet, rapper, artist, fucking spirit, Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
And his book, Scar Tissue. And so, of course, when you do a rock book by an iconic rocker, you think,
we need to get a rock and roll chick to come on the pod.
you know what I mean? Someone who knows what it means to be in the East Village.
Yeah, maybe the Lower East Village. Some may say Alphabet City.
The Lower East Village. No, I fucking love the Lower East Village.
Someone who rocks awesome vintage t-shirts.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone whose favorite letters of the alphabet are C, B, G, B. Anyone?
And just getting an also all-around hilarious chick.
Hell yes. Because this podcast isn't just about rock music. It's about comedy.
Yeah. You probably think of us as like just like ultimate rockers who are always like snorting coke and like shooting coke and fucking.
But we also fucking love to gag each other up.
And do improv.
And there's nothing more fucking rock and roll than improv. And that's why we're so excited to have all-around badass downtown writer, videographer, choreographer, chick actress.
Impresario. Is that impressionista?
Impressionista.
Lauren Servideo. Also, fellow Italian-American.
I was just going to say, another Italian-American from upstate New York who is not Kelly Catrone.
Wow.
That's me.
Feeling a little left out. Feeling bullied.
Well, I'm actually not from upstate New York.
Well, your mother
But
is.
my mother now lives in upstate New York. So anyway,
Well,
I'm not
didn't she grew up in Delhi or whatever?
She did grow up in upstate New York. You know what? Let's not get into details. Basically, two paisans are on the pod right now. Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on this little dirty rock and roll
nasty
podcast.
Little ramshackle rock and roll pod.
Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry, I really pushed for this. Realizing that it was almost 500 pages, but not fully realizing that it was almost 500 pages. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was this the longest one you guys have read, or?
Well,
Funny enough, you're actually kind of keeping us going in this kind of like hardcore, like you're like this like rock and roll mentorless, because we read a few weeks ago Ulysses S. Grant's personal memoirs, which also clocked in around 550 pages.
yes, this is actually shorter than Grant's. And I will say this was a quicker read than Grant's.
Yes.
Grant's is a slog emotionally and physically because it's mostly about troop movements in the 1860s. And this is like
More of a page turner.
this is more of a page turner, and just like there's no tits in Grant's book.
Well, I was going to say there's no salacious details about anyone. Like, who did
No.
he hang out with? Was there even anyone from the Roaring? I don't even know when he was alive. Like, I found out that Bret Easton Ellis was alive. I thought he died. So, like, don't ask me who's alive and who's dead.
I mean, there were parts in the Grant book where I was just being like, wait, so who does he know that we know? Like, where does the overlap
like,
end?
what are our mutuals on Friendster?
But yeah, this Kiedis book obviously is a podge turner, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of juice.
And I feel like it is. Thank you for suggesting this, because it is an iconic rock memoir. And I randomly feel like we haven't done a male rock star yet, even though that seems crazy to say.
Well, we've done Steve Aoki.
But is he a rock star or just a mega awesome DJ?
Okay, well, the DJ erasure and the sort of erasure of the musicality that's required to be a DJ is really apparent in that statement. But I guess I'll let it slide.
Okay, yeah. I am sorry to our DJs. Okay, Lauren, are you a red hot? Are you a pepper?
Am I a
don't know if
pepper? Am I a pepper peeper? Not hugely, but at the beginning of the summer, my boyfriend Emerson was playing them a bunch. We both work from home, or I'm like a layabout from home, and he actually works from home. And he was saying he just started playing them a bunch, and I was like, "What's going on with this? Like, why this? Why now?" And he was like, "This is going to be a red hot chili pepper summer." And no sooner did he say that, did I go to my grandfather's house, and I had a relative who lived with him for a bit, who is a former addict, who had like a bunch of who's it? Mackenzie Phillips. It was like every user memoir. Do you know what I mean? Like every former addict memoir on her bookshelf, and then this one stuck out to me, and I was like, maybe this is the chili pepper summer, and I was gonna find an excuse to read it anyway. And then
That is,
like,
as we say in the pod, that is an example of spirit being present. Because you were introduced to the concept of the RHCP summer, and then all of a sudden you see this book on a
Came to you.
bookshelf, walked into your life.
Yep. It's sort of like in the book where later he talks about addicts are always interested in seeing all of these like different, they have spirits come to them. It's like an animal will show up when you need it most.
Oh,
Sort
yeah.
of thing.
I mean,
don't know if
that's which happened in Hunter Biden's book, which is another addict memoir we read. But an owl comes to him as he's driving to this like rehab center in Arizona.
I do now. A theory is coming to me about animals and addicts. Is it also this thing because a lot of rehabs are in the desert, and then you just do see like lizards and stuff?
Yeah. There's a big nature overlap.
Because I know there's a ton of rehab. I mean, Florida has a huge rehab program where people just who are at their wits' end, of course, like ship their relatives off there. It's this like factory of addicts and rehabilitated people down there. And Florida's filled with like lizards and mangoes and like all that shit. So I get it. Yeah, I think you're on something, Lily.
Mangoes.
Live mangoes, gators.
Not to
Gators.
jump to literally the last sentence of the book, but since we're on the subject of animals, I'll just read it. And I was like, this is such an amazing sentence to end the book.
Okay, spoiler alert.
Well, it's not. Okay. Sorry. Do you mind? Anyway, he's sober, and he's coming to a new realization that you can't like just ignore your wants for drugs and just kind of more live in wanting the addiction. And then he says, I just look over at my dog and remember that Buster's never seen me high.
Boom. Mic drop.
Listener, those are the last words of the 500 page memoir. I kind of couldn't believe it.
465. Yeah.
I was like, one, Buster.
Yeah.
Are we just going with that basic of a dog name?
But it was after Buster Keaton, one of his favorite comedians.
Okay, old timey.
Yeah, a little
Call
old-timey.
me in. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, he's older than I realized. One
Yes.
thing that this book was kind of surprising to me was a lot of it was taking place in like the 80s. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess they really got their start a little bit earlier than I realized. Because, so I will just say right off the bat, my relationship with the Red Hot Chili Peppers had a very intimate turn in high school. I listened to Californication a lot. I bought it on CD at Newbury Comics, and I would listen to it on my computer in 9th grade while I secretly masturbated. And
What?
to me, this was back before there was porn videos. Porn was just photos.
So Californication was your porn, the audio.
The audio was porn. And I would look at just like these like galleries. It would be like a 30 image gallery of just like 2 Dutch guys. And I would like go through all the pictures while listening to like Other Side or Scar Tissue. And I would put on this album because I guess the album was so like masculine that I was like, it almost counteracted the faggotry of looking at gay porn. I was like, oh, it's not, I don't have to feel as like guilty about looking at gay porn if I'm listening to this like badass rock music.
I was shocked there were little to no mentions of any sort of like opposite sex interaction. I mean, we know pretty famously outside of this book that he's like a womanizer, but I was a little curious because, you know, they'd go out on the stage with their dicks and their socks.
Out.
Sorry, I was like trying to figure, I was like, do I go like anatomically, their penises inside of their socks?
Yeah.
But I just figured
Their
there'd be
appendages.
something. And there wasn't anything, at least not
there
mentioned.
No, wait, there's the one
The
kiss.
kiss with Dave Navarro in that video. And he was just and Dave was like, yeah, I'm going to kiss you. And he's like, yeah, man. Okay, sure. And to my surprise, it was a total open mouth kiss. And I didn't care either way. He's like so weird about it. And then he's like, and then the record execs didn't like it. So that's what I knew, that it was awesome in punk rock and we had to keep it in the video.
Right, and they like fucking fought Warner Brothers on it. And it's like, but only in this way of like, being punk.
And he was just like, yeah, we lost some frat boy friends who called us a faggot. And like, we kind of talked about it and we're like, maybe felt regret about it. But ultimately, like, we went forward. And you were kind of like, it sounds like it was kind of a big deal to have this kiss.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe you were a little nervous. And
I also thought was interesting was every other book we've read that takes place in the 80s, like, there's a lot of just like people's friends dying of AIDS, and it's just like there's definitely
mention.
they're not having any friends dying of AIDS, so I just don't think that they were hanging out with gay people very much, which is totally fine. Not everyone has to be hanging out with everyone all the time.
There are some bi chicks, chicks in the book.
I know that
definitely-
Ion Sky reveal where he like had this sexual encounter later with the girl who was
Right.
in the
was she-
relationship.
no,
Wait, let me get this right,
yes.
right? It was-
yeah. So no, you say it.
I'm scared, but just that it was like the ex-girlfriend of his ex-girlfriend was the next
Like,
his, like,
yeah,
one of his
like, it was,
later
like-
pursuits.
Kim?
And I was like,
Was
whoa,
it-
way to bury
or
the
Cl-
fucking lead, dude. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, we've all been dying to know. I would have loved to have known that so much earlier that she was bi, or just at least
Oh,
curious.
I know. It's like, let's go back 200 pages and be like, so he dates Ione Sky, who's Donovan's daughter, and she's 16 when they start
Okay.
dating.
Yeah,
I
I have
knew-
a lot. Okay, that's gonna be. Is that gonna be the meat and potatoes of
every
this
girl
fucking?
in this book is 14.
Dude, I have this dog. I have this dog ear to shit, and 90% of these flags right here are like actual literal red flags of like let's just say this is a very pre-2017 book.
Very, yeah.
Yes.
This is an
It's,
extremely 2003 book. They're like,
'Cause it's
I don't know.
It starts out and they're like, and he is like 11 and just like having so much sex and doing so much drugs and like his childhood's completely insane. But then at a certain point, you're like, aren't you in your 20s now? And he's like, man, like this girl was 15, but wow, she was really mature. And you're like, wait a minute.
He's like,
Yes.
her tits were so fucking fluffy. Or like,
It really is.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
almost
he'd
all the
always-
women in the book are just
Wait.
like.
Lauren, will you give us a fire rapid rundown of all your red flags?
Like every single thing in here. Or no, I'm like every
Yeah,
single thing.
some of them, you know, your
We're
favorite.
looking
All
at
right,
an
let me skip that. One was
extremely
stupid. That was how his stepmom.
organized-
One was how his stepmom made him go to church 5 times a day or a week or something that I thought was insane. 5 times during the week and 3 times on Sunday. I was
3
like, that's
times. I
already
was like,
psycho.
if you're going 3 times on Sunday, are you just leaving for lunch and then going back?
Right, we have like an 8:30 and 9:30 and then a midnight.
I mean, his virginity loss story is completely insane. How he just he passes his dad a note where they're at like the Rainbow Room on Hollywood Boulevard. He's 11 years old. He passes and like is doing coke with his dad every night. Passes dad a note saying, "I'm really into Kimberly. Can I try having sex with her?" And the dad is like, "Okay, son." And then they go back to their house and like puts him in a room with Kimberly. And he was like, and my dad was a little too close, like looking back on it.
Oh yeah, he's a little too. It's like
I think
so
the dad
he
was in the room.
absolutely watching.
Watching.
I got the vibe from that page.
There's a lot missing from this, including the fact that pretty early on he's like, yeah, Sonny and Cher were like surrogate parents to me.
Oh my God,
that's the sort of like ubiquitous experience of every kid that grows up in LA. That there's like, and think about it too, because he's so old at the time. That would have been like if, I don't know, Lady Gaga was babysitting you in 2009. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't
No,
just.
that's
It's not like
exactly
they
what
were
it was.
past their prime. They were on the Sonny and Cher show. Like, hello.
It was
There's
prime
something
Sonny and
else.
Cher. And he's like, yeah. So it was like, so at this time I was hanging out at Sonny's mansion.
Sonny's, and he's like, so Cher and also Sonny are already broken up. Sonny is with his dad's ex at this point.
And when then
And you're
the
like,
scene where
that?
Cher is, he's just watching
Sleeping?
Cher like change in her bathroom and just being like, damn, she had this slinky, slanky body. And I was watching her. And then she crawled into the bed with me and she was nude. And it was an erotic experience. But
And he's
nothing
like,
happened.
but Cher and I didn't hook up when I was 8.
I feel bad for Cher though, because so much of I feel like there was like a rumor that when this book got published that it was Cher that slept with him that took his virginity, because people have no
Oh,
like
and
reading
not-
comprehension. There's just so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
and so many fucked up instances in this book that it got turned into Cher sleeping with him, which is not true at all. That did not happen. I mean, physically they were like in the same room, but like she did not take his virginity.
And I got the vibe that Cher was in maybe a silk PJ, not fully nude.
Okay, don't you think that Cher is so sleep snood?
And it's just so like, darling,
I
this is
just
how
figured it
a
was her
woman
natural.
sleeps.
Yeah. Like
yeah,
maybe
especially
she was
back
trying
then.
to
She was. I feel
make
like she
a
was
point.
so au naturel in the 70s. And Wait, you think she was trying to make a point about just like, oh, she was so German public in her sexuality? Just like, men and children can be naked in a park together. It is not sexual.
Okay, also his dad, he's like, my dad had such an amazing manicured coke nail. But then I was like, Dad, why is your other fingernail so short? And he was like, so it's ready to go inside the ladies.
And he was
And
like,
it's like his coke nail, his fingering.
his pussy finger and then his coke finger. I mean, that did make me think about the fact that this is so cheesy. But like, you can totally tell if a gay hasn't been topping very much because then his nails are long.
Well, that's also very like a classic like 90s gaydar, like how to tell if a woman's a lesbian.
Right.
Like, check out her fingernails.
But I think it's more, I guess I'm thinking more in a top bottom way where I'm just like, you can have long fingernails and like just not be fingering, but still be into chicks and bi.
Right. You can be Ione Sky and like Kim and
Right. And they're just being
So,
like,
like-
they're just like, their hands are always just like up when they're having sex. Like they're not.
like those two. Like
I
those
don't
two
know.
men.
Honestly, I'm gonna say it. I think Ione Sky and what's her name? I think they had some wild bi sex.
Yeah.
At least I was thinking about that.
I'm
That
sure
girl
you
on
were.
girl action. Okay, another celeb moment. Can we talk about him and Sinead?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So in Sinead's book, so this is like such a our podcast crossover. So we read Sinead's book, and she says she doesn't remember.
Yeah, she doesn't remember anything.
I was
Anything.
gonna say, I bet she doesn't remember
he has
any of this
this
at
whole-
all.
I mean, she also did fully have just like
A mental breakdown.
a mental. She had like well, she didn't actually have what's it called, electric shock therapy, but like
I get the vibe that
she also was hit by a
Anthony-
train. And
Yeah,
had
I feel like Anthony
Oh,
does have a pretty
my
good
God.
memory for chicks.
Yeah.
She got hit by her head got clipped by a train when she was like 9, and she thinks she's always maybe had brain damage from that, and it's like really weird.
Oh my God.
But he has a pretty like specific story that's also not really disparaging to anyone. So I'm kind of just like,
I do believe his not to believe men. But yeah, I'm guessing.
well, there's nothing in it that's very just like unbelievable. It's just like
Yeah,
He's
it
like,
kind
"We
of felt
hung
like
out
those
a bunch of
party
times."
stories. Yeah, he was like, we hung out a few times. She wanted nothing to do with me, really. It didn't seem
Right.
like anything happened, but they drove around a few times and then she was never interested. And then he was all butthurt,
And
maybe
they did kiss.
I think they kissed, like, made out once, and then he was
And
like,
he wrote her that letter at a show once, and she was like,
kitchen
I
drawer.
kept it in my kitchen drawer. I don't know. Okay, I lost the
I
Irish
kept it in my
accent.
kitchen.
Sorry.
I kept it in my kitchen
In
drawer.
my kitchen drawer.
Yeah. And he's like, damn, you kept it in your drawer? She's like, a letter like that you don't throw away.
I put it in my Lucky Charms box.
Because the letter was just like, you're amazing, and like, hey, I'm obsessed with you.
Well,
like,
and also it corroborates. Is that the right word? Because in
fuck
her,
yes.
hell yeah, in her book,
SAT boots.
she's like, oh yeah, I fucked Peter Gabriel, and I was like amazing friends with Daniel Day-Lewis, and he mentions both those
Yes.
people with her. So.
Right, and she had taken Daniel Day-Lewis the Oscars instead of him, and then she like popped out of a limo with Peter Gabriel, and it gave him this weird kind of like fake, and they both like fake smiled at each other, and he said it was really sad.
Yeah, and awkward.
That
and
sounds so realistic.
yeah, him just being like long hair and like being like, "What's up, Sinead?" And she's like, "Okay,
Okay, hi. I'm actually with this different long-haired gentleman.
And Peter Gabriel is so like cheesy. I don't know. It's like I actually would think Sinead would want to hook up with Anthony Kiedis more than Peter Gabriel, but maybe guess not.
I think it was
I
just a
don't.
timing
What else?
thing.
I'm curious about her memoir because I loved that piece on her that was in like the New York Times
It's
or whatever. I mean,
completely insane.
It's completely
rips.
insane. Highly wreck. Yeah.
Highly wreck.
hell yeah.
It's really wild. I mean, she is also like such a punk badass, and she was becoming famous at the same time that they were, and she was also just like fuck corporations and like fuck the industry. But she was more, I would say, like true to her fuck the industry ethos than they are. They're still being a little bit more like,
Wait.
we want the deal, fuck yeah, like let's make this money and like do a bunch of drugs and like fuck a
yeah.
bunch of groupies.
Where did they go to
and,
like the North Pole with like Michelob Light or whatever?
right.
That was
Yeah.
just like.
They're
And I
like,
get it. There's just sometimes.
I
to
mean,
do
wouldn't
this
you?
stuff- Yeah. The thing is, you could tell like they loved living lavishly. Like they jumped from being these super poor, like squatter kids that grew up with next to nothing, and then he didn't know what kind of wood to import from Thailand for his custom like 36, 24, 36 fireplace dimensions. That you're like, you don't just like, especially in the 90s, there's no internet. Like you have to be really worldly. Like you have to, I don't know.
you have
spend
to
time
call
with-
a Thai woodist.
Yeah,
you
you
know.
like have all these importers. and
Dude,
just, like,
the Dalai Lama visit. This is the part toward the end of the book, I gotta say. Maybe you agree with me. The whole book, it is so clear that he lacks self-awareness, which, okay, I mean, he's a
Oh,
total
yeah.
rock star, but I mean, it's just like laughable. The way he just talks about women. At some point, he's like, yeah, it sucked. I was giving my mom like the hardest time coming home for the 15th time to Michigan to go to rehab. And, I'm sure that crushed her, but, moms are resilient. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
like just nothing. But then when he does the Dalai Lama trip, and it's like the Dalai Lama was waiting maybe for Anthony Kiedis to get there was another thing that I was like, huh?
Dalai
Do you know
Lama
the
just
do you know
being
the
like-
part? You know the part.
Will you? I am. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
going to admit that I
Yes.
don't exactly remember
No.
this Dalai Lama scene. I do remember the end being like, I feel as in every memoir, there's a point where they start to get rich and famous, and
Yes.
you do start to see them like notice a little bit less like what
Well,
they're saying.
It always goes
Yeah.
from like crazy childhood, and then it's like drugs, sex, and then all of a sudden it's like, and now we're spiritual, and now like you're shaking the hand with like your savior.
And he's being like, and I just wake up every day with so much gratitude and so much matcha, and you're just like, I guess, but like,
Right. It's like, oh, now you're just like so Hawaii and just like, yeah, beyond like 800 matchas.
there's not as many like
yoga.
details about people where I'm like, I feel like you're not really noticing stuff in your life anymore, and you're just being kind of
Yeah.
out of it, not caring. Also, like when he starts, like the part where he was just like, at this time I was dating Sofia Coppola, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I was like, and he was
Right,
like,
glazed
she was,
over.
The
Just
amount
like-
of times he's also like, she was my favorite girlfriend. And I'm like, didn't you say that
Did you
about?
just have a favorite girlfriend 2 seconds ago?
I thought that would of really hurt my feelings. He's someone who picks favorites. Like, he'll be like, this was probably the most enlightening sexual experience I've ever had with a woman. This was my favorite girlfriend. She was probably the girlfriend I was like the best of friends with. And I was like, that would fucking hurt if I was that girl and I qualified for nothing. Like, if I put up with his misery and his bullshit for all that time, that like I wouldn't at least get a little like, you know what? I appreciate your
Didn't get a
patience.
superlative.
Didn't get
like,
the favorite.
Yeah, no fucking superlative, no nothing. Just thrown out on the street.
Could I read the part about the time he has sex with a fat chick?
Oh wait, this part was so funny. Okay, wait. But
Yes,
I do also want to hear the Dalai Lama part.
Yes.
But the fat girl
let's
one,
let's finish Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
And then go back to fat girl.
And I gotta say, the only reason why I probably remember it is because I had to quick finish this today. I will say,
Same.
very cockily was like, yeah, this is a memoir. I'm gonna get through this in like 3 seconds. Because I do, whenever it comes to the memoir, Jessica Simpson's, girl, that was hours. Like when people would get the first
Same,
Harry Potter books and they just devour it. It was like Jessica's, I was done before I felt like I didn't even crack the fucking spine.
The writing in the Jessica Simpson book is like, it's
The
not.
print is a little bit even
The
bigger
print
than
is
this.
large and
It's bigger. It does. I used to put like 3 spaces after a period to make an essay longer in college. Just me.
And then you're like, what if instead of double space, will they notice if I do it 2.3?
2.3, yeah.
Wait, can I ask you a crazy question? What was your major?
It was journalism, and then I minored in women's studies at SUNY freaking Albany because I really wanted to work in like women's magazines.
Oh,
Fab.
for like Albany Women's Monthly.
Yeah.
You were like, I need to go to the heart of publishing, which is Albany.
Yep, I was like, I want to be the Helen Gurney Brown of Albany. I think that's how you say it, the cosmopolitan, like.
Wait, like you wanted to write for Cosmo or like Miss or like Bitch magazine?
You wanted to be Kate Hudson in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and you're like demanding to your editor, you're like, actually, I know I write about jewelry, but I want to write about Afghanistan.
Yes.
And they're like,
That's exactly what it was. It was around the time that like Rookie came to be. There was that
Okay,
Kinder
yeah.
whore renaissance, and it was really when Tumblr feminism
Kinder
took off.
whore.
Yeah, it was like the true Tumblr feminism moment, and I was hugely like a voyeur of that, and that deeply influenced me to pursue that.
Obsessed.
Did I do that? No. Did I literally even touch a keyboard as soon as I went? No. Do I have one byline?
Okay.
Absolutely not.
We're sending you a keyboard after, just a standalone big keyboard after this pod.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just like Tom Hanks.
You're
loves
welcome
collecting
on
them.
us.
Can I read something that I dog-haired or dog-eared? I mean,
Please.
sorry.
Dog hair.
I just can't stop thinking
Buster.
about Buster. Page 158. One night I ran into this girl from Nebraska. It was ironic because Nebraska is the corn state, and she had pubic hair that resembled the precise texture of corn silk.
Oh, yeah. That stuck out.
I know, it's like
I remember
corn
the black
silk.
corn. And he's like, I've seen a lot of pubic hair in my day, all sorts. But
And
this
then next
is corn.
page. The next day we drove to Baton Rouge, and of course she came with us. After we got off stage, she came up to me and said, I have something to tell you. My father's the chief of police, and the entire state of Louisiana is looking for me because I've gone missing. Oh, and besides that, I'm only 14. Then the next sentence, I wasn't incredibly scared. 14? When was
Why
the
are
last
you
time
not
either one of you
scared?
talked to a 14-year-old?
I'm also like, you're publishing this book and being like, yeah, this 14-year-old had corn silky pussy, which is reminding me, I have so much corn at home that I need to eat. And
Girl, you gotta get
I have
through
to,
that.
and I'm every day I'm just
Corn
like,
season's almost wrapping
no,
up.
I know, and it's like my CSA. They keep on giving corn. They're trying to get rid of the corn. I'm like, how many husks am I eating today?
I couldn't believe he wasn't scared. I'm just like, if anyone's gonna murder you, it's gonna be the chief of police of Baton Rouge for fucking his underage daughter. Like, literally, if anyone would ever murder you, it's like, that is the person who is going to murder you.
But I think he got that confidence from his father, who was such a rebel rouser and
A rebel rouser, yeah.
pedo himself.
Dude, total pet. Total pet. That cycle
vibes.
did not get broken here.
No. And it was just like, I'm sharing a 15-year-old with my 11-year-old son.
Classic. And then the dad, we talk about how the dad like gets mad every time he asked his dad for one of his girlfriends after that. He was like, whoa.
That was actually a one-time thing.
Yeah, that was
I
your
shared.
birthday present, okay?
Like, that's not happening again.
Can you guys imagine writing a note to your dad?
To be like, can I fuck your girlfriend?
Yeah.
It's got like backwards letters in it and shit. You know what I mean? Where it's like lemonade stand with a backwards S. Dad, can I fuck your girlfriend again? Check yes here or check no here. Love, Anthony. Like, ew.
What's fucked up is you should see Lily's handwriting because it still looks like that. Like age 34, she hasn't gone past 9. Like it's still really big, and she has like a really bad way of like figuring how many letters need to go on the line. So she's always running out of room by the end of the word.
Birthday cards are always like, to me, it's always that straight line and then full down.
No,
Sure.
I went to the shittiest public school ever, and it was like if you missed it one day, shit like handwriting, you would be like, there was nothing they could do to make up for it. Like if you I missed one day of fractions, and I still can't figure that shit out.
So you're
Another
just like,
day I missed.
they just never went back.
Yep,
you were like,
never
I never got what a third is.
I still can't read an analog clock quickly. Missed that day. It's so unfortunate. It's so sad. So I'm with you on the handwriting thing. Like I get it.
That's fun though. You know, your life has some mystery. You go, you're in London, you take a peek at Big Ben, you're like, I don't know what fucking time it is. I feel free.
I actually was just thinking about that the other day, and I was, wow, that's funny. I was just thinking about Big Ben this morning. I'll tell you why. I'm going overseas for like the first time, and I was thinking like, they go on the 24-hour system. What do their clocks look like? I really hadn't thought about it. I'm revealing that here very publicly, but it was like an early morning thought. I was like, no, but Big Ben, no, that's like 12. There's 2 hands. Like I really was like breaking that shit down like a.
You were like, maybe it's just a bigger circle.
Yeah,
it's really big.
It's just, that's why it's such a big clock. Well, okay, I'm with you. I was trying to make a resi at a restaurant the other day, and the time was in Army Europe time.
Sure.
And I was like, excuse me?
Who put your resi in military time?
Yeah, Google.
Damn.
Yeah, I should have gone to Open Table, and I was like,
fuck with you.
yeah, and I was like, I can't do this. So I closed the window and went to another site because I was like, I just can't do the math here.
No, leave it on military time and start asking for the veterans discount at places. I went to Eckhouse Lotta the other day, and I asked the kids straight up. I said, "Do you guys have a military discount here?"
Stop.
And he wasn't sure.
Celebrity Book Club.
I wonder, I mean, I have to say, Kiedis' taste, the only celeb he seemed to be attracted to was Sinead, unless there are others that, like, he fucked and, like, NDA stuff. They were like, no, you're not putting this in
I mean,
there.
he obviously, let's just say it, he's obviously a tits man. It's just like the description of every girl in the book is like tits first.
Round tits.
She had these high, perky tits. Her tits walked into the room and she was banging everybody with her tits. She had these big, soft tits. Wait, were you going to read the part where he fucks the fat girl?
I still have it. Okay.
Okay, wait.
Let's do this. Okay. Sometimes I combine my passion for drugs and girls. We had just played in South Carolina and I was a little drunk, so I went straight into a coke hunt. The bartender at the club found me half a gram and I did it all too soon. So I was horny beyond control when this fat girl approached me. She was probably about 5'3" with an unusual chunky shape. She had fairly large girth and her tits were like enormous missiles that projected out from her elbows to the end of her hands. She was kind of pretty, though not the type of girl I'd ever hit on before. But she had her album and she told me I was her favorite poet of all time. And she gave me this letter that, among other things, suggested my dick was like a dolphin and her pussy was the ocean and I had to go for a swim in that ocean. She also wrote that she worshipped the ground I walked on and that she was my servant. She'd do anything for me. So then the sex, because she wasn't typically hot. It's like, we get it. She's
We get it.
big.
She's fat.
He's like, did I tell you guys that she was fat? And that I usually don't fuck fat chicks. There was no pressure. Whatever happened, happened. We went for it all night with her big, beautiful, pillowy breasts and her crazy extra wide body shop. I mean,
Body shop?
Sorry, body shape. The whole time we were fucking, she was telling me this was her dream come true, but not in a way that made it unpleasant. Later, I found out that she had put 20 hits of acid in that letter to me, so I was able to barter it in the next town for some coke. Nice. Fat chick who gives you coke.
Fat chick who gives you coke.
And it's like he's writing this truly thinking he's complimenting her, being like, she wasn't typically hot, but she got to experience my dick.
She got to ride the Kiedis machine.
Yeah, this dolphin swam all around her oceans. Oh, Lauren? No.
Sorry, that kicked me off. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
You got too horny.
Yeah, the power went out. Literally, the lights above me started just like buzzing.
Okay, Lauren, now do share with us what you had.
Oh,
queued up.
share what I had queued up.
Yeah.
Page 253. She was a 5'9", 19-year-old blonde Nordic goddess with big blue eyes, a bowl-cut hairdo, and an unbelievable smile. Plus, she was wearing a t-shirt with a huge face of Woody Allen on it, and her tits were poking out of each of Woody's eyeglasses so that his eyes seemed to be going in different directions. I couldn't have put it in order with God for a more perfect physical specimen. The way this aged.
Tell me you're a pedophile without telling me you're a pedophile. Dude, her tits were busting out of her Woody Allen tee.
Like,
like fucking God himself. Like the way Adam pulled Eve out of his own rib. Did this girl come into being? Oh my God. Dude, it was, I had to laugh because it's like, sure, there's more egregious offenses than like, participating. He insists he had nothing to do with groupie culture, but it's like, clearly you did.
He obviously has this narrative about himself where he's just like, and dude, once we started getting famous, like, I didn't want to fuck the groupies because it was too easy.
it was about the
Like,
chase
it's
for
about
me,
the
dude.
chase. It's about the pursuit, you know what I mean? And you're just like, I don't know. It sounds just like you.
There's a different girl in
There's a
each
different girl on
page.
every page, and just like you are absolutely just like fucking your fans.
Absolutely. I wish I could have been. I mean, I was like 11 or 12, I think, when the book came out. It actually came out on my 13th birthday, October 6, 2004.
Oh.
So I think that was another part of me.
Spirit.
Happy early birthday.
Spirits calling out to me. And yeah, it was like, I wish I could have known how it was received back then. Like, I feel like I want to go into the New York Times archive or like the New Yorker Mag archive to see what the write-ups were of the time.
Let's get out the microfiche.
I'm sure people were just like, this is
It's
a
raw.
really an unflinching portrayal.
Yeah.
I bet it was a lot of like super frank, really
literally
bold
Time
about it.
magazine on front just being like raw, inspiring.
To me, this
Frank.
remains a staple of like Hudson booksellers in the airport. Like I feel like in my mind, and I don't hang around. I have no musical bone in my body. I really don't hang around musicians, but like I do feel like this is like the most.
I thought you were about to say, I don't hang around Hudson News that much.
No, that's where I work. Yeah, that's like actually. I work at the one in Penn.
Wow, and that's actually so
the one
cool.
in Penn Station. The
Oh, I was
Moynihan
gonna say,
Hall.
do you work at the JFK? Okay, because the security clearance to work at the airport, even just for,
I work at every
Hudson
single
Booksellers,
one
is
at
quite
JFK, and I
extensive.
just have to run from terminal to terminal.
You open them and you close them. So, you're an opener. If when a new Hudson News is opening, you got to get them
Or
running.
like in the typical New York way, you guys have been talking to me this whole time, and then you find out that like my dad invented Hudson Booksellers, and I'm like the heiress to all that shit. I'm actually really rich. This closet is just like
You're like,
a green screen.
Yeah, like my real name is Lauren Hudson.
Oh yeah, when I said I was from upstate, I meant Hudson, New York, because my father owns Hudson.
He owns the town.
He's the mayor of the whole town.
And I'm the little mayor.
I'm Little Miss Junior Mayor.
One, two, three, four.
Give me a segment, give me a segment, give me a segment.
What does she eat? How does she live? How does she wear? Okay. What does she eat?
What does she eat?
Okay.
I mean, I get the vibe that maybe he's like vegan.
He is
now?
vegetarian.
Oh, vegetarian.
So one thing he mentions rarely randomly in the book several times is that he is a vegetarian. Because there was one time he was like, man, like I'm been a vegetarian for years, but like I was so hungry after we had like we had been lost in the part where they're lost in Indonesia in like the jungle for like 2 weeks. Do you remember
doesn't
that?
he have like dengue
And the
fever?
Sherpas are.
Oh, yeah. He had
and the Sherpas like bring them to the mountains and they're like, honestly, we didn't know if we would survive. And we kept looking for this river and we were searching for over 10 days. And then finally find this river and like somebody in a passing boat gave us a deer leg. And like, yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but I did tear into that deer. But yeah, so I feel like he's so celebrity. He's been so rich for so long. So I just feel like he's so going to Squirrel, which is like a famous LA bowlery. And he's getting like such a quinoa. Yep.
Remember the one that was over here?
Yeah. Yes. In the East Village.
Rest in peace.
Is that still open?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they closed like 2 years ago.
That went the way of the dodo. I remember I used to live in the East Village. I lived to live in the Lower East Village. And I go to Angelica's and we get the most badass egg scrambled
huevos
rancheros. Yes, huevos rancheros and no bacon.
Yeah, because he mentions like when he was like high all the time getting like junk food, and he was like, man, Flea knew I was high because he saw a bag of Cheetos, and I would never eat Cheetos if I wasn't high.
Yeah, he does have and this goes back to his toxic masculinity where he does really, because he was like, yeah, I was on this crazy thing where I do a ton of coke and heroin, and I would also exercise a lot because like I'm still being healthy. So like he still is being like gym.
I mean,
and
look
like,
at him. He's
Well,
always
even
buff.
the way he talked
he's always been,
about
like-
the fat girl experience is always like, for me, I'm like, hey, you know what? No one scrutinizes my body as much as I do. And then you're like, wait, actually, there might be one man in the world who does actually notice and pick up on all of the things that I hate about my own body. And it's Anthony Kiedis. And he probably would be like, he probably would order for you. She's gonna have
yeah. She's gonna have the fish soup.
And I could see him so true getting mad like at his girlfriend for like eating like a steak or just like something naughty. And he's like, why are you putting that shit in your body?
my God, yes. Yep. Oh my God. You read him to filth.
And he's like, I mean, hey, do what you want to do, but like, it's full of hormones.
Yep, RGBH or whatever. I do wonder what the inside of his fridge looks like these days. It's definitely Erewhon.
If there's a ton of Erewhon, there's
supplements.
There's powders. I mean, it's
big shake in the morning.
Yeah. Like there's so many beetroot powders and then spirulina powders. There's probably spirulina ice cubes in the freezer.
And I feel like there's a private chef who he imported like from somewhere and was like, and she makes like amazing,
she makes
like
dope ass Thai. She makes dope ass Vietnamese. She makes dope ass Mexican.
hella good curries.
It's probably the same woman that was giving them oxygen. The one that he mentions at the end that is like their lifeline, the band Lifeline, who I feel so bad was like both their oxygen dispenser and then like their therapist. He kind of was like not thanking her for enough.
Double duty.
It was a little messy.
What does she wear?
What does she wear? I mean, shirtless. I feel like
I've never seen him in a shirt. I mean, he's kind of classic. Like his style is very 70s because he is like copying his dad in the 70s, and I think he never got out of that. Just like wearing like slightly belled jeans and like a button downs that like are also slightly belled. It's just like that kind of classic.
I get a
70s
sense
silhouette.
of John Varvatos where it's like for the guy who doesn't need to be wearing, those kind of like chic rags, like he can afford more. So they're like tailored rags in a way, if that makes sense.
But it's like loosey tighty loosey Varvatos, like
yes,
linen-y,
like linen-y,
darks.
yeah, linen for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I also feel like you're so on there because the John Varvatos store in New York is where
CBGB's
used to be.
Stop! Wait, that's so literally the anatomy of a sellout.
Yeah.
It's just like from CBGB's to John Varvatos.
Yep.
Right, and it's like really good black denim.
Good black denim. Do you know the
He has,
watches that are like made of like a bunch of leather bands? Do you know what I mean? It has like the watch face in the middle.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
cutest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like funky
Where there's
leather
like
bracelets.
6 little leather cords that then attach at the watch face. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's accurato, but he doesn't have any piercings.
I'm like,
It's weird because you would think he'd be so plugged, but I guess it's just like that's always been too gay and emo for him. And he's pre-plugs culture.
yeah, plugs is
Because
like
again, he's older
way
than
later.
That's
we
true.
think. Yeah, and I don't see any pierced ears in any
And
of
like
these
piercing
shots.
was just like straight up like a village people then. So
No earring? I feel like an earring maybe.
Again, I'm gonna say no earring.
Wow.
I'm pushing for no
I
earring.
feel like since he did the long hair,
Yeah,
that was like enough.
That was his earring. That was his head accessory. You can only
And
do one or
Jennifer's
the other.
feathers.
That's such a bad name, Jennifer's feathers.
Hey,
It's also
we're
a
Lily
movie.
and the Jennifer's feathers.
Lily and the
Lily and the
Jennifer's
Jennifer's
feathers.
Okay, so we're starting that band tomorrow. Even though you don't have a musical bone in your body, you will now.
I'll be the one in the. I'll be like the
Jennifer's
like the
feathers.
one fan in the audience that's like your friend that wants to be, but it's just like, oh, she's getting
Just
into it, so the
swaying
rest of
so
us can.
much.
Little do they know that I'm like a plant in the audience.
Just swaying for hours. Man, she was at our show since the fucking beginning.
Yeah.
No one was there.
And so we ended up giving her 7% of a record deal with Sony.
Dude, I would kill for
As a
even
thank you.
0.01% of what probably their total earnings. They really have made so much money.
Well, they made money when you could still make money off of like selling CDs.
tour.
Because it was just like their CDs probably sold like 20 million copies and they literally made just like $1 gazillion off of that.
$12.99 for that compact disc.
Boom.
It's kind of crazy. I never like Red Hot to me was always like it's on the radio. I'm listening to it, liking it, but I was never like I was never that much fan that I bought the CD and there you were jerking off to it.
I needed some. I needed my jerk off soundtrack.
I mean, it makes sense because
And
they're a
as you
very
know,
sexual band.
But you were like anti top 20 where I was pro top 20. So I would go to New York Comics and they would have the top 20 CDs of the week like in the racks. And so you could like go pick. And I was just like, oh, hello, like number 3. Hell yes.
That's like me at
number 2,
McNally
American
Jackson.
Idol compilation. Yes.
They have the top 20, and it's like the many husbands of Evelyn Hugo or whatever. And I'm like, I'll read that shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, tell me what to read. Tell me what to do. I am like merely a cog in the machine. I'm with you though. I'm pro top 20. Always. Pop till I die.
Yeah. Okay. How does he live?
does he
We
live?
know there's a lot of
Wow.
imported teak.
yeah.
Is this like a metaphorical? How does he live? Or like the situation, like where he like lives very lavishly?
It's really about like specific decor choices
Yeah.
that are
Okay.
happening. Just like
His
what-
bed, side table, lighting.
is the bed high? Is the bed low?
Whatever is
That's actually
the
a really good
most,
question.
Like amenable to just like having sex,
Fuck
lots
fest.
of tantric crazy sex is how
I feel like the bed is low.
I want to say the bed is low too,
Likewise.
because like that feels more like easy to just like fuck standing up on, like where she's on her like doggy style on the bed, but you're
Yeah.
standing on the floor or whatever. Like I imagine that's a popular one. Like, and I think a high bed is like there's just too much acrobatics involved, and he doesn't want to have a little stepway.
I feel like a
But
high bed is the only reason I have that is living in New York and you have to store shit under there. Otherwise, low bed makes so much more sense.
But some people are really insane and they are tasteless and they like think that their bed has to be such a like throne, and so they're very just like
princess
mattress
and the
pad
pea
box
shit.
spring
Sure.
princess. It's very Princess and the Pea, and it's got a 4-poster or whatever. So, and like some like rich people in their big bedrooms have that as well, where everything's so oversized and like you need a ladder just to get onto the couch, like that kind of vibe. I don't necessarily think he is that. I think he is definitely like
No.
I also to go back to his days of always having a mattress on the floor, wherever
Yeah.
the fuck he was sleeping.
Mark
wanna
McGrath
say,
has
like, I feel
4-post
like-
bed, just so you guys know.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, hanging
I'm a four-post
I'm
bed.
a four-post bed.
Dude, actually talk about like battle of the two super LA musicians. They're probably the two
Yeah.
most LA rock stars I
Yeah.
can think of off the top of my head, honest to God.
The most LA-ist bros.
What's funny is I bet
Says the girl who says she knows nothing about LA. Your
talking-
story's got holes in it,
you
Lauren.
talk about Mark McGrath like you know him, huh? Like you've maybe seen that 4-post bed.
Oh, Hollywood and Vine? I don't know that intersection.
I have no idea. I'm just a little girl from Iowa. Dude, I've just been lying this whole fucking time, gaslighting already.
Little girl from Albany.
say
I,
I was
took
from
the
Albany.
bus here,
I didn't say I was
Greyhound.
from Albany. I didn't say I said that.
I feel like it's just Eastern vibes.
I am getting Eastern vibes.
Hell
so
yeah.
which brings us to the question we ask every episode.
Is
Buddha,
he
I was
Buddha?
at Buddha.
I'm-
Wait, that's what you guys asked?
Buddha.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say
Yeah.
Buddha statue in the backyard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
like periods.
Absolutely. Yeah, God. On my grandmother's grave.
He's got a Buddha.
shrine in the backyard. I'm
Yeah.
so excited that that's where you were going with this because I was thinking about it hard.
I'm so glad you're right there with us and the Buddha.
Okay, well, I think we nailed it.
I also want to say Buddha infinity pool.
Sure. Yeah. Also, this is just one house. We already know that there's like 6.
Yes, right. There's
we know
one
there's a New
house.
Zealand house that like he hasn't been to in a while, but we'll see what's happening over there post-pandemic. Who are you in the book?
Wow. Who are in the book?
Okay. I've been thinking about this since I read this passage. I think that I'm Flea's slutty Australian sister, Karen.
Yeah, you're Karen.
and I'm just like, come over and help me study. I've got a big test tomorrow. And then
Okay, and I kind of think
And then
I'm Flea in this way where I'm telling people that my sister's really sexually active.
Girl, you're talking about your sister's sex life way too much.
I'm like, dude, you could have her if you want.
I'm the one mention of Chris Farley coming to visit him at Exodus Rehab.
Wait, that was so
Wait.
dark. He was like, it was really good to see Chris.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh.
Okay, but also you have amazing style. You have Jennifer vibes a little
Yes,
bit.
Jennifer.
You're a little bit Jennifer.
I could see you building a structurally sound teepee that could last the winter.
The cold Michigan winter with the lake
cold
lake
Michigan.
effects.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
fucking blowing
Coming to the boyfriend's parents, and they're like, "Oh, this girl's pretty
she's
funky."
brought
every
pretty
girlfriend home to his
weird.
parents. That to me seems like you do that one time for your wife. He brought every fucking girlfriend to his
He
parents.
crossed the line with you
Yeah,
there.
we don't share this. We don't share a lot of the same values. I'll tell you that. But that's why I wanted to
I will
read
say
this
that's
because
a-
it felt like truly. I was like, I know we talked about doing the Victoria Gotti one, but I was like, it's a little too close to the sun. Like I really can predict
Right.
what's going to
Yeah.
happen here. I was like, I don't know my ass or my elbow when it comes to rock star shit, LA living.
When it comes to someone who would bring every single significant other home to their
Right.
parents every
Yep,
summer.
every summer. Every Christmas. He was a big Christmas guy.
And he's like, "Oh, my mom's the best. You're gonna love her."
Yep. Or I would say I could be the mom who was just so patient.
Just patient Midwestern mom who, though, did
Would
go to
you-
LA and was funky for a while.
She was funky, and she was also, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, are you so her though when you're like marrying someone named Scott St.
Yeah.
Jude or whatever?
and you're like caring for him for his 3rd triple bypass. Not saying you wouldn't care for someone through their 3rd triple bypass, but
She
Yeah.
seems like she was more like, I felt like her thing was like, and this was, women of that era, whatever, it was like difficult, but it was like, she seems like she was always kind of like at the mercy of the kind of husband she was with. It was like she
Yeah.
was having a rough time when she was with the messy husband. She was just like, then she needed to get this new guy, and then he was having a, then she had like the next husband, and it was like her kind of well-being seemed a little bit too tethered to her marriage, and I don't see that in you as much. Like, you're such a strong, independent woman.
No, that's true. You're right. No, it was a Chris Farley final answer. Just like
Correct.
Chris Farley and a little bit of. I want to know where Jennifer also is
that.
now.
I didn't Google. I was gonna wait till after this. I was like, I can't spoil it. I really do want to look up all of them, including Claire, who of course
Yeah.
got roasted the most because she was the most recent girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the clarity.
Yeah, I could tell where he was being like,
Well, 'cause
and
he
then-
Yeah, it was like
remembered
active.
more.
Yeah, it was like an active annoyance where the rest of them were obviously more passive and more time to be like a little more generous
Yeah, and more
with the
just
memory.
like, and I do wonder where that Baton Rouge
girl.
police chief is.
I wonder where the fat chick is.
Same. I know. Can we get like an amendment to this? Seriously. Hasn't it?
Yeah, that's. I mean, a
Where are they
very
now?
a very Pamela DeBar's, like the girls of Scar Tissue
Oh
book,
my
and they
God.
each have a
Don't even.
chapter.
That is next on my freaking list.
Okay, Random House, take note for that.
I need a little
pitch.
gratis copy, please. There's like 5 million copies at the Strand. Trust me. Every time I go to the Strand, I just check to make sure it's there. I've been doing that for years now.
It seems like you spend a lot of time in bookstores, which is fucking cool in old school New York.
And
You were in
that's
very
New York,
Lower East
McNally.
Village.
Watch you find out I only go
From
to
McNally
I only
to
go to
Strand.
masked books because I can like only get art books and shit.
Yeah, huge art
Hella
books.
hella curated like fucking like Mapplethorpe. Dick in your Facebook.
Oh, just buying a used $300 Mapplethorpe book today. Then little bit of, I'm going to buy some nuts and then a matcha and then go home.
Nuts.
Oh my God, Lauren, this has been epic.
This has been such a thrill ride.
Thank you for having me. I do have a question though. What book are you guys reading next? Are you allowed to tell me or?
Oh, you know what? Because it's you, we'll tell you.
I just went straight to Dumois with his information.
Yeah. You're just like, I know what the book is for Slutty Book Club next week. Anon, please. People always say that it's always Anon. She's never posting like your phone number, so it's fine. Like Kate Hudson's not going to find out that you said her assistant was nice. Like, move on.
She smelled good. Yeah. No, but really, what are you reading? I'm dying.
We're doing epic lesbian soccer player Abby Wambach, U.S. women's soccer team captain, and her small volume of a memoir, Forward.
Called Forward.
We've rendered Lauren speechless.
Because Forward is a position on a soccer team, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty literal, so Forward.
It probably wasn't ghostwritten. She probably wrote it herself.
Lauren, do you have any amazing things that we should plug for you? Like,
any
epic things coming up?
Sort of like 3-episode arcs on any CBS Plus series or anything like that.
I'm a Peacock girl. Easy fucking does it. No, I wish I had something. This is actually a call to anyone. I would love to work. I would love to act. I will do anything. I'm so desperate. I must have killed a casting director in my last life because they are allergic to me. In this one.
You like poison someone at Metro Goldwyn Films?
Yep, that's yeah. Wait, now I hop off to do my other podcast. Like, you must remember this. Isn't that the one where they talk about like old Hollywood shit?
Yes.
I got around because I got to do that. Nope, nothing. This is actually the only highlight of my life. Was being on this like this month. This was like the only thing I'm doing this month.
Can we just say that you are on You Must Remember This?
Can you just lie and say I'm going to start like seeding that in things. Like, my episode's coming out soon and then like a year goes by and they're like, whatever happened to that?
Check out Lauren on the amazing podcast You Must Remember This.
Episode 286.
She has so much knowledge about film and old Hollywood and flappers.
I bet you get at least one person just being like, "Oh, you were kick-ass on that podcast. You must remember this."
Yeah, that was me. It was great to talk to the host about the
topics.
Old Hays Code stuff.
The studio system. Can I also just piggyback to casting directors? Yeah. Just kind of for me, I would also like to be cast in anything.
Just to sort of backflip off that, I would also ask casting directors to sort of shoot their little spectacles in my direction and, see if I'm right for something.
I wonder if they were ever like, no, we can tell they want to be indie darlings, so we're just going to leave them out of every conversation about casting ever. Cool.
No, I mean, it's like clearly we all want to be in a movie that's called just like, thank you for not saying sorry. And it's like, okay, well, we'll see you at the premiere.
See you at the premiere.
Okay, I'll be wearing Gautier. Bye.
Best.
Celebrity Book Club is presented by Prologue Projects and HeadGum. The show is produced by Meg Murnane with editorial support from Leon Neyfunk, Andrew Parsons, and Lynn Kaplan. Our production manager is Persia Verlin. Engineering by Ferris Monchi. Original theme song by Stephen Phillips Horse. Artwork by Teddy Blanks at Chips and Y. Follow us on Twitter at CBC The Pod. Subscribe in your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review and don't forget to tell your friends about us.
That was a HeadGum podcast.